What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. And since we've got a little bit of spare time today, and it's been a while since we did one of these, thought it would be fun to throw together another mock draft 6.0 now. We have gotten through quite a few, and we've got a few more to get through before we actually get to the draft at the end of April. So let's go ahead and put together another iteration. And in this one, I wanted to kind of take a slightly different path than the paths I've taken before. I wanted to kind of push the boundaries of trading. I wanted to experiment a little bit with a few different paths the Seahawks could take while still allowing them to address their clear and obvious needs going into this draft. So let's jump in here. Let's take a look at what I got. So we're starting off with a trade, and it's a pretty substantial trade. It's a trade I know a lot of people won't be on board with, but I wanted more picks, and I want to swing down from that 16 spot. So I traded with Green Bay this time, and I did not trade for Green Bay's other first round pick because I wanted to go for quantity in the day 2 area of this draft, which I think is pretty strong and probably offers better value than what we can get in day 1 in my estimation. So what I did with trade with Green Bay for 16 overall, and I acquired 41st overall, 58th overall, so like a middle second, late second, and then a middle to late third. So that basically pushes us down almost an entire round worth of picks, and in exchange, we pick up a second and third. On the draft pick trade chart, it's very close to equivalent value. So the Green Bay's actually on those charts coming out a tiny bit ahead, but it's like by 3%. So it's very close to equivalent. So if we could get the draft started out like this, I think that'd be great. And we could start addressing our pretty clear and obvious needs without having to resort to any kind of a awkward reach. So we're starting off with that. And then with my first pick, which is of course now 241, mid to early second, I took Tyler Nubbin, the safety from Minnesota. This has kind of worked out nicely where Tyler Nubbin's admittedly terrible testing scores, and they were terrible, have pushed him down the draft boards a little bit to where it is now completely realistic to be able to get him at 41, and I still love him as a player. So if you can get Nubbin in the early to mid second round, I think you've done very well, and I think that's now probably going to happen. He needed to test better than that if he wanted to be a first round pick. So I've addressed the long-term need for a franchise level safety, and here we go. Next pick, late second, I went with Cooper Bebe, left guard out of Kansas State. So Cooper Bebe fills the most obvious hole on this roster where we literally do not have a left guard, and I don't know why this thing won't scroll. There we go. So yeah, Cooper Bebe fills a very clear and obvious need on this team going into the 2024 season. He would immediately become a starter. I like Bebe a lot. He's not as good as the top left guards in this draft, but he's very good. As of right now, the big boards have him in this area of the draft. It wouldn't surprise me if he ended up climbing before the draft actually gets here. But for now, it seems very realistic to be able to get him at the back end of the second. So yeah, Cooper Bebe becomes your new left guard, Kansas State. And then our next pick is third round, and I went linebacker here with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. We do miss out on guys like Colson, guys like Cooper, guys like Wilson with this strategy, which is unfortunate because all three of those guys are certainly more appealing than Trotter. But Trotter's good as well. Trotter's a good prospect with some issues, mostly centered around whether or not his size is going to be able to hold up in the NFL. But he comes from a football family. He's a very smart player, remarkably intelligent, remarkably savvy out there. I think he fits in well. And I grew to really like him the more I watched him play. I thought I was going to be a little bit cold on him, but no, he's a really good all-around player. We just wonder how much of it will translate. So I'm taking the linebacker from Clemson here. And then with my next pick, also in the third round, I took a right guard. Oops, spoilers. Christian Mahogany. Third round, 88th overall pick, Christian Mahogany, a right guard from Boston College. So he helps bolster things on the interior offensive line as well. So Christian Mahogany becomes the heir apparent to one of the right guard spots. I don't know if it'll be in front of or behind Anthony Bradford, but this also allows us to move off of Ankrum, who obviously has a very, very low ceiling as a player. So now we can upgrade that spot, the backup behind Bradford initially. And Mahogany's probably going to push Bradford because he's a really good prospect with a lot of high potential here. So, yeah, I think that would be a really valuable pick for the team in 2024. Protect the team from an injury. So that would be my other third round pick. And then we have a, what is this? Yeah, fourth round pick. I already spoiled this one a little bit with my scrolling, but we went with Ben Sinote, tight end from Kansas State. Might end up climbing the draft boards into the third round by the time we actually get to the draft, but for now, he's put on the big board database as a fourth rounder, so you could get him here theoretically. Really good player, really fun player. I've talked about him at length already. I don't feel the need to go super deep into these prospects when I already have in previous videos. But if you guys have been following my coverage at all, or following any draft coverage, I think you have a pretty good idea what's up with these players. So he becomes tight end 3, and realistically, when you take a look at our tight end room, Fant, 2-year deal, could be getting out of it after 1. Pharaoh Brown, 1-year deal. George Fant, kind of your tight end 3 right now. So Sinote becomes like the actual tight end 3, and he could take over for Brown or Fant on the depth chart in a year. So I think that's a good pick for the future. Other fourth round pick, I'm going with Mekai Wingo of LSU. He was a guy who I really liked before this season started, and then he didn't play that much. I think he got hurt a bunch, but I still really like him. He's a little Brandon Meebaney, is the way that Hawks Nest puts it, and I can get behind that. So he improves our defensive line significantly, I think, with his presence over a guy like a Miles Adams. So that is how I'm going to address the defensive line. I'm not going to do anything crazy to it because I don't mind the state our defensive line is in, but Draymond Jones is probably only going to be here another year. Leonard Williams probably like 2 years. And then you've got guys like Mike Morris, who may or may not pan out. Jaron Reed might be in his last year. We need to do some stuff to bolster the imminent future. So fourth round pick on Mekai Wingo. And then I'm going sixth round pick Frank Gore Jr. Always try to get Frank Gore Jr. He's actually fallen on the aggregate to about the 6th or 7th round, so this becomes a little more feasible to be able to get Frank Gore Jr. in the 6th. He's just your running back 4, and he provides some power, which the guys we have don't provide a ton of. Even a guy like Charbonnet. I think Gore is somebody who can provide a little more power than Charbonnet does. So that would be my 6th round pick. Another 6th round pick would be Tyrese Knight, another linebacker. This one's more of a flyer type. I like Tyrese Knight. I talked about him a little bit in my linebacker videos. Obviously, low chance that he pans out, but there is some intriguing talent there. So Tyrese Knight, I think, is a good late round pick for the linebacker spot, which we need. We need more linebackers. We need more special teamers. Tyrese Knight can be those things. And final pick is the 7th round. I'm taking a local one. Dominique Hampton, safety from UW, the guy who jumped over the line against the Cougars and nearly blew the game. Yes, I know. But he unironically tested well and indicated that he will be something of an impact player at the pro level. And I'll bring him on as a special teamer at minimum and then see what we get later. It's another safety to pick up, but we need safeties. Long term, this team needs safeties. We're going to be thin. And Hampton's the guy who may not even make the team or might end up on the practice squad. I don't know, admittedly. But it strikes me as appropriate value around here. And it's about the best that I found that I could do. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think about this mock draft. See you guys soon.